Welcome to Two Yellow Girls featuring our friend Brick.
Oh, hello.
So,
She's a yellow girl, but we treat her. We doesn't matter if you're a yellow girl because everyone is welcome on this podcast.
yeah.
Thank
So,
you.
so we just finished watching Social Dilemma on Netflix, which basically tackles how technology is using our attention to gain profit for their own good. If that makes sense, that's what it's
We'll
about,
go
right?
into it more later.
Yeah,
But, like,
but
wow. If you haven't watched it yet, go watch it because, wow.
it's kind of ironic because it's this massive company, Netflix, telling us that these massive company corporations are just using us for their own profit and to not do that, but we're doing that while we're watching a
Yeah.
documentary.
Yeah.
Like when they listed all the companies that were like, it was like Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and like,
But no Netflix.
but not Netflix.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And,
No, we
like,
don't associate with that.
did they make this to draw, like, viewers in or to actually inform viewers? I mean, it can be both, but, like,
I think there's some good intentions behind it. I think when our world is ending, they're gonna look back on these documentaries and people are going to say, see, they were trying to warn the current people, but I don't know. I just feel like people are such creatures of habit that trying to pull them out of this, pull them out of being comfortable, buying from large corporations, from not living sustainably, from not caring about climate change. Even I'm at a fault for this. I think everyone is, and it's so hard to be so conscious about all these issues that we have. But I seriously think if we don't start fixing it now.
yeah. And to give background on you're, what she's saying is like, in the film, they kind of documented how technology is kind of just feeding you what you want and continuously, and how information is literally like key to everything. Because when the information is fed to you, like you are swayed, and that means 8 billion other people are swayed, or however many people use social media. And or even if you don't, like, there's someone else who is, and you're probably connected to that person, talking to that person. So it's like social media literally controls everyone into mindless zombies, and then that can make people do things that they didn't intend to. And it's not just like, oh, I spent 5 minutes extra watching that video. It's, oh, I spent 5 minutes like wasting my time away, or like being swayed into kind of a different opinion I would have had before, whether that be good or bad. And like that can cause a lot of trouble, like the Civil War, which was really like a coincidence because we talked about that the other day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in the movie, um, basically what we're saying is social media is just taking advantage of confirmation bias, which is a term in psychology that means you have a theory about something. Let's say you want to believe the earth is flat, and then all you do is look for information about how the world is flat, and then you start convincing yourself the world is flat. And what social media does is that people create their own bubbles of reality, and then social media, the computers, the AI that runs the system will feed you information that supports your own viewpoint of reality. So then everyone becomes entitled to their own opinion. And, it used to be before that we could compromise and you had to talk to other people, and people all read the same papers, they all read the same news sources. But now there's so many news sources that no one wants to believe anyone else is saying, including me. If I see someone's a Trump supporter, I want to say, I don't want to talk to them. Why should I want to talk to them? Which is not good, because then I will never understand the other side. And we each push ourselves into these polarizing ends, and there's no way to meet the middle. And this isn't just happening in America, it's happening everywhere. And this is what what yellow girl number 2 is saying, how
Yeah.
there could be a civil war. just based off of these false perceptions of what we think the truth is.
Yeah, and to go off what you were saying, Yellow Girl, was like, sorry, it's just every time. Well, like, have you seen those posts? If you're on social media, like, follow me, unfollow me if you're a Trump supporter. Like, people will post that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like, I know you have the right intention in mind, like you don't like those people and you want to get that idea across, but it's like now you're just closing off like the audience you should be speaking to, not the it's not like you're convincing the people who are already on your side. You're trying to convince or you're trying to kind of like hear out the other side.
Exactly.
What do you think, Rick?
Yeah, definitely agree. And I also think that when people who are differing in opinion than you see that you don't want to interact with them, they just assume that you're shallow, you are stubborn, and they're going to think that they're right even more. And so the divide just grows every time. I liked in the movie when they were talking about how everyone just assumes that when they open, like when other people open the news, they're seeing the same thing as other people. Like, and everyone's like, how could these people be so stupid? Like, duh. But they just, everything is so specifically tailored to each person that everyone is going to think that everyone else is stupid. But, I don't know.
Yeah, and like the question is how do we solve this? And in the film they talked about like more regulations, more rules, but how does that start? It feels like we're already so far in. It's like who is fighting for this when there's all these powerful people who are like or just companies who are purchasing our time, I guess you could say. And it's like how do we start? How do we get this like ball moving? I guess by watching this film and like having this discussion, we're kind of doing that. But yeah, what do you think?
So I've thought about this and I've considered, okay, there are two directions we can move in. We either take Elizabeth Warren's route of completely getting rid of all of these companies, just destroying it. And this reminds me of communism, in which
Yeah.
we take away this free market and we take away the freedom of speech. And then that goes back to what is the purpose of humanity? Because right now, with the internet, you get to be innovative, you get to create things, you get to learn things. But at the same time, it's also brainwashing us. The other route we could take is we
A
make
third route?
technology like, at the end of the film they were saying, oh, we can still use this tool to make it a better place. So I'm just confused on what they mean by that, because because it is making it a better place already. I think technology is doing great things, but how can you also do that and at the same time prevent what is happening right now from happening?
And there has to be another route too. Like also going back to what you said about Elizabeth Warren like taking everything away, it's also like Americans would never allow for that.
That's true.
Like you can't even make
Yeah, you can't.
people wear masks. So, but also I was thinking like, is there some sort of news source, like an extra source where, or not a news source, but just somewhere where people saw everything that was the same and it just wasn't tailored to anyone. It was just this is what it is, and that's that. Like, I mean, I guess there's Wikipedia, but
I think the closest thing to that are scientific papers and journals, but no one wants to read those. People
yeah.
want to read these curated 5-minute versions of those. And they think, oh, these universities are motivated by money too. I don't know. People can always find an excuse for why not to trust a certain source and to trust the source that they want to trust. But I agree. I think there needs to be a news or some kind of information place that is specifically cited by scientific papers only, which is basically Nature and Time magazine, Science magazine and Nature magazine. I think those are the only two
But do
sources I
they
think.
talk about like politics and stuff?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Like,
Scientific American recently came out with a political statement for the first time in 20 years.
How do you talk about politics with science? Because isn't politics kind of people's opinions? How do you measure that?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. And how do you make it not biased? And also, how are you supposed to get viewers? That's why the system itself is flawed, because if you point of politicians is to get people to listen to them. So if you're not choosing a side, no one wants to listen to you, except for maybe the people who are willing to not choose a side.
Yeah. What do you think is the solution, Brick?
Well, I have no idea. I think that, I mean, this is not like tangible, but I think that we just, society needs to realize and stop making money their god, basically. And like, I don't know how you can't convince these big companies to not do that, but I don't know. I feel like if we just keep, if we remind new generations of that, then maybe it'll be better. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's the root of the problem, and that's why people feel so trapped in changing anything, because they're just, that's, oh no, I would do this, but it's gonna be bad for profits and all that stuff.
I love how you
Basically,
bring that in, like new generations. Go ahead.
yeah. So we get rid of the incentive of money, which is I'm not saying that's communism, but it's a very similar idea, which again brings back what I wonder is, what is our purpose here? We are here to
live the most fulfilled lives, I guess.
and so some people define fulfilling as money, some people don't. And so
But why is it money? So you can like just not be
I
in fear,
agree.
right?
It
Just to
shouldn't.
not fear,
Yeah.
I guess.
So the thing about communism is that, I hope I'm not saying anything too controversial, but communism is in
Why
itself,
not?
I think, a really well-intentioned system, because it gets rid of the want for money because everyone has the same thing. But in turn of getting rid of that incentive, you're stopping human innovation. But isn't that what we want, right? Because in
Right.
stopping human innovation, we stop these problems, but then humans are never progressing. So yeah, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Why do humans
Yeah, I
have to
know.
be motivated by money? Like,
I don't know.
why can't they be motivated by building a better future for their children? But I guess it's just like fear is just such a strong motivator that I guess nothing can compete.
Yeah, definitely. And fear of the most immediate thing, not fear of, oh, in 2,000 years, climate change will be destroying. Like, I don't know. People are more scared of their immediate threats to them, or not even threats, just, you know. But
I think
Yeah.
I think we're in a really privileged position to be able to say, why do people want money? I think we live really good lives, so we have
Definitely.
money all around us. So of course it's easy for us to say, oh, why do people want money? But for a lot of people, money is a way for them to secure the future generation. So I can see why people are motivated by money. My family has money. I have a bed, I have a roof. A lot of people don't have that, and money is really the only way to get it. So if we want to take away that incentive away, we basically have to move towards communism. And I don't know, it's just hard
that's
to
a
come
very
up
good
with a new
point.
system that doesn't have a flaw. Like, nothing in this world is
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah, I know.
And I think you really speak for all of us when you're talking about privilege, because I definitely, it's like privilege is so hard to like recognize sometimes, and
Yeah, I know. See?
Mm-hmm.
it's like yeah, we aren't really worrying about our next meal, so I wish we could bring in more perspectives on that.
I agree. I mean, it's not our fault. It's what privilege is. But yeah.
So going back to like making this new system or this new way of spreading information, or like I don't know, maybe a new app. Let's start there. Why not? But like where would you even get the information to be the main information, you know? Like there's news sources. Like, isn't that what they are? Like, isn't there something already like that? Like, what could, I don't know. It's just, I mean, we can't know. If you came for this podcast for answers, you're just gonna get a brain vomit.
It's okay though. Well, while I was watching a movie, I decided that I would make a lifestyle change this week.
Yeah.
This always happens to me. I'll get this random burst of motivation to have a lifestyle change, and then I'll go back on it after a couple weeks. But we have 4 minutes left of this. Okay.
No, we
My
can make a new
plan-
call.
Yeah. Sorry that you have to edit this. Anyway, okay.
It's
My
okay.
plan is that I'm only gonna use my computer during the day, and I'm gonna start reading more because I've only read 2 books over the past 6 months, and I promised myself I would read more. I need to read more, and I need to meditate more. Brooke, why don't you tell us the benefits of meditating? I mean, Brick, because Brick meditates, or she,
Brooke.
I don't know if
No,
she
you
still does.
said Brick that both times, okay?
Yeah, but
I mean, you make me sound like this master of Zen, but like, I don't know. I just try to go somewhere quiet where I can just not think about anything that I've had to think about all day. I can just watch as watch as my mind thought miles per hour like slows down, because initially it's so fast and you just have to like wait and sit there as it slows down, and until you get to the root of yourself and the core of it. And it's the most it's less irrational than the 1,000 miles per hour thoughts that you get throughout the day.
Can you tell us why? Like, the benefits?
Oh, benefits. Um, no one, you physically, I don't know. For me, sometimes it helps me remember that, like, even when I'm not doing schoolwork or doing something that I feel like is productive, the world doesn't fall apart and it's okay. And I can really recognize what I'm actually feeling, because I don't, sometimes if I'm feeling like slightly emotional during the day, I just quickly do something else, distract myself. But that's not helpful, you know? It helps me realize like what is actually going on. What do I actually think? What do I actually feel?
I think
Yeah.
that's really good. Yeah,
So, like,
sorry.
immerse yourself in your thoughts and just put away what's everything else that's happening to get in touch
Yeah,
with
and
yourself,
like
right?
what everyone else is feeding you all the time.
Like being okay
Mhm.
with your own thoughts and
Mm-hmm.
feelings. I think
Yeah.
that's why our generation we lack a lot of confidence. Oh, you're right. I think that's why our generation has trouble with public speaking. I don't know if I'm speaking for all of our generation, but I know I have
Wait,
trouble with
so
public.
why do you
I do.
think again?
Well, I think because I'm human. No, I'm kidding. I think that people have trouble with this is because when we are feeling anxiety for our test tomorrow, when we feel any kind of strong emotion, when we feel happy, we automatically tell our friends. We have to share our emotion with other people in order to process it, or we have to find a distraction in order to not process it. So we never just sit there and let ourselves deal with the fear, with the anxiety, and face it head on. So there's this meme I saw. It was saying how Generation Z can advocate for global warming. We can make albums and write books, create businesses before we're even graduate from high school, but we can't ask a waiter to
I
give
saw
us
that
a new.
too.
Yeah, right.
Ouch.
And it's so accurate
It's so
because
accurate.
we depend on social media as a crutch to deal with our own emotions.
Yeah. And that was definitely also like backed up in the movie too, because in the movie there was this girl and she was like using all these filters and stuff to try to make herself look prettier. And I'm sure we all have. Like, it's just so easy. It's like one swipe and I won't have any acne. My lips will be bigger. It's just so, they make it so easy.
I
And
feel like, sorry, continue.
no, you go.
I don't know. I feel like going off what Jasmine said, we're so afraid. Oh, you can edit it out, right? Sorry. Going off of what you said earlier, it's like social media just creates this extremely ideal world, and it makes you so afraid to fail in the real world because you're not accustomed to seeing that kind of stuff. You want everything to go perfectly well for you. You're not used to seeing that like perfect world because you're on your screen. Like you're on your screen all the time. You're seeing this perfect world. You want to replicate it in real life as much as possible, and so you don't want to fail. You don't want to screw up. You don't want this to be awkward for you. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. People live more in this ideal world that they make on social media than they do in real life, and they start to convince themselves that that's who they are, not who the person outside, which is really scary. And like the guy said in the film, I'm a fan of evolution. I love evolution and wanted to explain everything. And he says that, at the beginning of humanity, we were only judged based on our family members and the people in our tribes. Now we have thousands of people viewing us, and of course we want to create the best perception that they view. So I don't think we've evolved. We haven't evolved at all, really, essentially. So I just don't think humans are accustomed to this. That's why we have eating disorders, which is, you think, as a species whose survival depends on eating, that wouldn't happen. But this is happening. We have depression, we have suicide. Do animals commit suicide? I mean, wildlife animals? I know
I don't think so.
some do, but it's just such a fundamentally non-living thing.
Yeah, innate? Is that the word?
Yeah, I like that.
Wow. Words.
Words.
But also, like, our guest Brick, you don't have any social media, right?
I mean, I don't really have the main ones. No.
What do you have?
I have YouTube, Pinterest, but that gets deleted most of the time.
Do you feel FOMO from Instagram or Snapchat?
Oh, I used to so badly. So badly. I could not wait to grow up to get Instagram. But I am so glad. Like, I am so glad my mom did not let me get it. Seriously. Like, it was one of the best things. Like, I don't know. It's fine, but I just know I would have embarrassed myself. And I know that I would probably have a lower self-esteem. And yeah, I don't know. I used to feel FOMO hardcore, but now I don't.
I mean, when you say embarrass yourself, I feel like that kind of goes back to what we were saying, though, right? Like
Like,
everyone.
I would have done something cringy to get validation, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. I
I
That's
just
see.
what I
thought it was interesting how the first thing she says is how Brooke would be scared to embarrass herself. And which is really sad because that's what we all think. Because on social media, you aren't allowed to embarrass yourself. You aren't allowed to be this imperfect. If you look at my Instagram, you would think I'm the most obnoxious person because every single post has have the same color filter. All of my story pictures have to have the same. I have to look good in everyone, and it's honestly, I get annoyed at myself because I'm trying to put on this perfect perception to everyone because I don't want to embarrass myself, because it's not okay to embarrass yourself on social media.
But that's everyone, right? It's some people at this point it's more like Tinder than self-expression. But
Oh yeah.
like also at the same time, we pride ourselves, like Gen Z. We can do the things that if Martin Luther King Jr. had the power we had, imagine the amount of people he would reach. Rosa
Did you see that TED
Parks.
Talk too?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It's been recommended to me so many times that like I was like, okay, I'll just watch
I
it.
watched all of them. Yeah.
Like imagine everything that these historical figures and could have done with our power. And like it's just so like they said in the film again, it's a utopia and dystopia for this reason because
Mhm.
it's just like so amazing yet so destructive and like terrible at the same time. And how do we like draw that line and how do we find that like going back to regulation? But like it's also kind of conflicting too because it's like we find so much activism, like so many people share their stuff now, but if we didn't have that then it would also be gone, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I think the flaw in this is that all of us become our own Martin Luther King, if that makes sense. We all want to impact the world. We all want to share our opinions, and it becomes so much sharing that we're not consuming other people's opinion. I'm going to be honest. I mean, I will look at people's. I think I'm a little bit more open minded than your normal person.
She's
Okay,
quirky.
I'm so cool like that. But even when I look, I'm saying, I think my opinions are a little better. And everyone starts taking their own opinions. We all become our own Martin Luther King. And there's 7 billion Martin Luther Kings, and none of us can agree on a single thing. And, you know?
But then everyone becomes a consumer, and when you're a consumer, isn't that once you consume, that's how they release more ads, and they're like they're in prime time for an ad. So it's like
Yeah,
just there's
it's
always
all
this
money.
conflicting point.
Mm-hmm.
What were you gonna
Yeah, I
say
feel
first?
like it's really it's really good that social media is making so many people more aware of different things and that people are using their voice. But I feel like sometimes that's it. Like they're just using their voice. Like Martin Luther King was forced to go out and do like really, I don't know. I just feel like he was forced to try harder, if that makes sense.
I completely
But
agree.
people can get away with like just talking about stuff.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
but when in that sense, I guess we aren't like trying to equate it, right? But it's like also with technology, if there's a old car and a new car, you should still take the new car because it'll get you to the destination faster and safer, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it'll be less work, like, or I guess however it could equate to that, but like
Yeah,
that's innovation.
it's so much easier to get validation. So the validation that, Martin Luther King, the feeling that he was making a difference, he felt that by going out and giving speeches in front of millions of people everywhere. We can get that same amount of dopamine or validation, whatever, from, sitting on our bed and posting a picture we took 2 days ago. And so it automatically makes sharing and feeling validation so much easier and so much less special.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's all about dopamine, I guess. It's just this topic is so much greater than I thought, you know? And it's
Mhm.
just such like this can be what sways the world or sways our nation into a civil war. Like,
Mhm.
and why isn't there more talk about this?
Yeah, I think it's just so easy to get comfortable because there's no, like, with social media. like the people in the film were saying, when they asked them what's wrong with it, it took a while to think, because issues like slavery that caused civil wars, there were people suffering, and you could see it, and you could see people who own social media. We're all sitting in our houses, we feel fine, everything seems fine. The internet, yeah, it's just happening on the internet, it's not happening here. So it's easy to feel comfortable, and no one really wants to do anything about it.
But don't we see the suicide rates? Don't we see
Yeah.
the person who is no longer in our class, like the girl who's throwing up in the bathroom? I feel like it's just, yeah, it's more hidden.
It's easier to brush it aside when you're not watching slaves get beat up in front of you, or
Or yeah, and when you're like caught up in like, I have better things, I need to focus on like college apps.
yeah, I know. I think what I'm planning on doing is to put away my iPad and my phone and not looking at it until nighttime, because I'm still gonna look at it, and I'm gonna try and meditate more. I think that's all we can do right now, is to start from our own lives and make differences, and then think about, because
Yeah.
the big issue gets overwhelming.
Yeah, definitely. And like my main excuse when I'm like, oh, I should probably put away my phone. My main excuse is like, no, like what if someone like needs you to do something
Oh,
like for them? Like you're gonna be a bad person. You're gonna be a
Mm-hmm.
bad friend. This person's gonna text you and you're gonna suck. And so 9 out of 10 times, no emergency SOS thing happens. Honestly, it's less than that. And like, but that's just my excuse every time. So I feel like I need to let go of that excuse. People are gonna understand. Life will go on, and like they're connected to so many other people. If they really need me for something, they can find a way to get me, I guess. And like
yeah.
I'm not a terrible person for not responding to people for a
Yeah,
bit.
no one ever asked me for help, so I can't relate.
That's because you have a 4-hour response rate. Kidding. Hahaha. Anyways.
Just not kidding.
I'm not. Okay, but like, it's when you said earlier, like, it's just starting on a small scale because it's so overwhelming. I think starting on a small scale is one of the best ways to do it, because it's just like you telling me, and then I'll tell someone else. I'll tell my mom. My mom will tell my brother. I don't know. It's like everyone is connected
Mm-hmm.
some way. So that's that's greater than like how you phrased it. I think like you need to give us more credit.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
Because we
everyone
need to
should do
figure out
that.
how to solve this problem in our own life before we can figure out how to solve it in every other life.
Yeah, as
So
Michael
yeah,
Jackson said,
Yeah,
start with the
that.
man in the mirror.
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah. And like I don't know. If I went into my life determined to solve every single problem in the world, I'm not going to solve any of them. Like, I just have to take it one step at a time and do whatever I can do. And then I feel like that's more productive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for us that's what a fulfilling life is.
Yeah, I think
But
this
I'm
is
not gonna lie and say I don't want money.
everyone wants money.
No,
Money,
yeah,
money.
that's fine. When I said that earlier, I didn't mean that. I just
Oh
meant,
no, no, no. I know.
yeah.
I'll just say.
Yeah. I think that's why we make a lot of our choices, but
Mm-hmm.
it's more complicated than everything sounds. Words are only so words can only convey so much.
Picture tells a thousand. Just
Ah, yeah. But yeah. Anyways, do you think this concludes our podcast today?
It sure does.
Okay,
What
well,
about you?
Thank you so much for having me on with you two intellectuals. People are always going to know it's me talking because
no,
they're
don't say
gonna.
that. Stop.
Oh,
Stop. No. Shh. No.
Well, it was our pleasure, and we want you back because she added a lot of.
I want you back.
Because I think the three of us work so well as friends because we all have very different personalities and insights onto different things. So yeah, if you want her back, please subscribe.
Yeah. Also,
Don't smash that like button
Brick.
because it's toxic.
Brick, please. Don't say that because your words are so powerful. So yeah.
Why, thank you, ma'am.
Anyways, thank you for tuning in to
Two
Yellow
girl.
Girls featuring Brick.
Brick.
Bye
Okay,
bye.
bye guys.